Go live here. Okay, we are live again. Sorry about that mix up. So this is session number 15 for shredders. 2 3-octave scales. That's what we're working on right now. And I have it on the clean channel because I want you guys to just hear what I'm playing. Now we went over the modes, and when we went over the modes, we kind of just started in this G major Ionian pattern. And then we went into a Dorian. And then we went into Phrygian. Then we went into Lydian. Then we went into Mixolydian. Then we went into Aeolian. Sorry, I messed up that one. Then there's the Locrian. So anyway, you go over the modes, but then what we're going to work on is 2 and 3 octave are scales. And so these are cool because when you're shredding, say for instance you're just locked in this Ionian mode. Well, and we kind of had you practice where you could run into another mode. Right? That was the cool part. You start in Ionian, but pretty soon you're in Phrygian. And those are cool when it's on distortion and you're just going up and down these scales. Now we're going to work on strictly 2 and 3 octave scales, and what we're doing, just so you know the theory of it, is we're just moving from one mode into the other and then coming back. And sometimes we're using multiple mode structures to do this. And so this is kind of fun. And again, it's cool. We're going to work with a regular major, like an Ionian pattern, and then we're also going to work with a melodic minor. And we haven't done that yet, so we haven't even worked on the melodic minors yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to push that sixth of the minor, of the natural minor, and we're going to push that seventh up one. We're going to sharpen them, make them into a melodic ascending, and then we're going to descend into a natural minor. Now that sounds kind of crazy, right? Because you're going one direction with one scale, the way the pattern is, and then you're coming back in a different direction. Whoa, kind of weird, right? Yeah, well, we're going to kind of learn that today. So we're going to start off just by, let's just take a C, and we're going to take a C major. And what we're going to do is we're going to start just on this A string, and say you take this C right here, and we start a scale that looks somewhat like the Ionian mode, right? It just, so just like that. And then we're going to switch. See how that works? I switch. So that's how that regular major 2-octave pattern looks. And that's it. That's all we're doing, okay? So this just... So what you want to do is get out your metronome and just practice. the feel for what I'm doing is I'm just thinking like there's a metronome. Tick, 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 tick-a-tick-a-dat, tick-a-tick-a-dat. Then take it from right where you ended. So you'll want to work on your burst. You can look at prior lessons and kind of go over that, maybe lesson 1, 2, and 3. But so that's the pattern for your major, which is kind of cool. So hopefully you get that down. So that's one way to do the major. Now let's make that a 3-octave one, okay? So we're going to take that to the C up here, okay? And so now we're going to do the same kind of structure. So on the 3rd string, we're kind of coming up to the next mode. Then I'm switching up to the next mode. So see how I did that? So it's kind of cool, right? You start in this Ionian mode, then you roll right into Dorian, Phrygian, you go all the way up to this Aeolian. Then you come back to the Phrygian. See, that's the pattern of Aeolian. So, okay, try that again. So, we're starting on the C. So that's where we end up that part. So just look at your Ionian. We're just playing that little section. Now we're coming up to the Dorian. But when we get to this note, we slide up. We slide up again. Whoa! It's on the way back, descending. So descending is a little easier, right? Because all we're doing is just going to the Phrygian mode. Start in this Aeolian. So hopefully you know your modes, so you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying these things. So, but when you're playing this one, it's kind of fun because now so you can see how that's kind of cool because I mean, you know your modes, but you can play this just the straight scale. So that's a 3-octave major scale. So it's not easy to do, that's for sure. So just keep practicing it and you will get it down. Okay, so that's that one, which is really cool. Now, if you played this with some distortion, let me try to stick it on here. Ooh, a lot of delay on that thing. Holy moly. Bypass that thing. So it's kind of got a cool sound. So it goes all the way up there. And just practice it in parts. That's a hard one. So you kind of get what I'm doing is I'm just taking little sections of that and just working on that over and over and over. And that's what you do. And that's what, and then you'll actually get the run a little better. Okay, so that's 3 octaves of the major. Now if we took the 3 octaves and we made it, let's do a melodic minor. So a melodic minor is kind of interesting. We haven't worked on that one yet. But if we took the Aeolian mode that you guys know, which is just... If we took that Aeolian mode and we... See, we sharpen that 6th, sharpen that 7th, then we get into this melodic minor, which is kind of cool. Jazzy feel for sure. So what we're gonna do is now that's the 3 octave one we're gonna learn. We'll learn that in a minute, but let's go back to just our C. And let's work now on a C 2 octave melodic minor. So this is, we're going to start here on the C. So let's get that right. So let's see that again. Switch up. 6, 7, 8. This is back to 1. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to descend in the natural minor. So this has got a different sound to it too. Kind of interesting, huh? It's very cool though. the melodic minor is one that is not used a ton, but I think it's really cool and it's good for you guys to practice it, because if you can shred this melodic minor, man, you will definitely, man, people will dig listening to you. They'll be like, what is he playing? That's so different. Like, why is he playing? It sounds like a minor, but all of a sudden it sounds kind of major. And that's because you're playing the melodic minor ascending, but you're descending the regular minor. So hopefully you got that. This is just a regular minor descending. If I can get rid of this one. So hopefully you see how that works. So that's a really cool style. Now we can move this into a 3-octave melodic minor too. So we're going to go melodic minor ascending, and then we're going to descend into a standard minor, natural minor. So we're going to start there. Now I'll take that slower. We'll do it again. So again, you can see how I'm moving in between kind of modal structures, but because I'm playing this melodic minor, I'm kind of throwing a little monkey wrench in there, because I'm playing that a standard. If you looked at your chart and you looked at a standard Aeolian mode, you'd have to sharpen the 5th or the 6th and the 7th of that scale. And then now you're starting to get into this melodic minor ascending pattern, right? We're descending as a regular natural minor. So here it is again. And then we move up. Move up one. Now we're going to descend. Shift. So we'll just stay up here. So this is cool. So it's got a cool sound. The major one. That was the major one. Minor. So it's kind of, you can see that it sounds a lot different, major, minor. One's that melodic minor, so it sounds not so minor than we're used to hearing. It definitely has another sound to it. So it's very, very unique, that's for sure. You know, hopefully you kind of grab this. Now, in theory, you can do this with any scale. You can work with any scale in these 3-octave kind of ways where you're moving up. Like for instance, I don't really know, I don't really practice one with just the Aeolian minor, but let's take that. Just take a straight minor. We'll play it on this B. But say I want to mix it up and play different patterns. Okay, and I kind of tired of just this. Right? So maybe I'm going to want to go. And let's say I shift. So we can start doing stuff with it. So let's try to work this out. So that's kind of cool. What did I do? Something like that. Get to the octave. So we can make this 3 octave by linking modes together. So that's kind of cool. So right there we got 3 octaves. So when you're playing a scale, instead of just doing this, I can go like this now. That's how I did it. Now, I've never done that before, so, but you can see what I'm doing is I'm linking the modes together to play a 3 octave scale. Now the reason why it's cool is because again, when you're soloing, it gives you much more room to be able to do different things. So you can just do different things with more. You got more room to work with. Where here you're just doing the. All you got is that, which isn't much. So anyway, on your right hand, you want to practice muting it. I'm practicing it, muting it myself, and then practice it a little more legato. Meaning what you do is you open up your wrist. So I'm not laying my fat down. So that's the staccato sound. And so that's what we're used to kind of more in metal playing. That kind of sound, but you can lift your fat up a little bit on your right hand. make it more like that. So it's just the strings just vibrating, and you're not muting it. So you want to kind of work with that with your scales. Now you guys know that I played classical for a lot of years, so I don't really play with the pick anymore. I don't know how actually anymore. So I have to play with my finger pick, my fingernails. And so that's why I have a really interesting tone when I'm playing and striking it, because it's super fine. But anyway, you guys will do a better job than me. You guys will play and get this down, I'm sure. So just remember your modes, and remember to put things into 2 octaves or 3 octave formats. And then if you can work on your speed bursts and get those things kind of cranking a little bit, so just try to work on it a little bit. But if you can get those speed bursts going, then you'll be able to start going further and further and further and take sections of things. Just like when you're writing a song, you know, a lot of times you write songs in sections, right? You know, that's what you do. You write a section and then you go into another section. So that's certainly how I write, where and then I'll go, okay, that's the end of that section. Okay, that's the end of that section. So just as you learn songs and you make up songs in sections, your scales are the same way. And those kind of jumps are hard to do. But you gotta practice it. So that's what So that's what you do. And then you'll get it. Then you'll start working it down a little more. So, and we want you to pick every note. Just pick them all alternate picking for now. So you're not. Don't do that pull-off hammer-on stuff when you're practicing your scales. Work on practicing, picking every note. Work on playing it legato and then staccato. So hopefully you get that, okay? So that's what kind of you want to practice over and over and over. So you got the 3 octaves. We did the C, which was a 2 octave, major. Then we did a C, melodic minor, right? And then we did a C major, and then we did a C melodic minor. Whew, it's kind of tough. There's the melodic minor one. So hopefully you can get these down. Let's just work on them. So and that's the cool part is you get into this like playing, right, where you're it's kind of cool. So anyway, have fun. Thanks JP for my brother for letting me use his little new Squire, which is rockin' blue. I love this color, don't you? It's so pretty. This is so cool. Yes, this is live like right now, Carlos. I am live right now. I don't practice for these things, Carlos. I just get on and do it. So yeah, he got this nice blue one, which I really like. It's kind of got this nice twang. So it's kind of definitely got a cool sound to it. Definitely interesting, but you can work on these scales again. Again, that melodic minor is way cool because when you go down, when you're ascending with the sharp 6 and 7 with that melodic, it just has a really cool sound. So hey, next week we can work on that intervals, Carlos. You can later teach on intervals. Intervals is a good band, by the way, if I remember. Intervals are cool. So yeah, we can work on some interval training next week. That would be awesome. Give me a chance to prepare too, Carlos. But anyway, hope you guys are great. Oh, I wanted to show you guys something too. And this is really cool. And since Carlos had a question, maybe I can help him. I can kind of show you guys how we kind of learn in school when we were in college. Hold on. Now this is called a book, and I've showed you guys this maybe once before, but this is a book. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but in school, you know, we looked up these books, and I'm gonna look up intervals and see what the official, this is the Harvard Dictionary School of Music, and let's see what it says. So an interval. Okay, there's a French spelling, there's a Greek spelling that, and an Italian and a Spanish. Intervalo, Spanish. The relationship between two pitches, a tradition going back at least to Boethius and still current, defines interval as the distance between an upper and a lower pitch. This spatial metonymy is convenient for interventories of tempered scales as well as for informal descriptions of intervals. A parallel tradition going back to Greek antiquity defines interval as the ratio between an upper and lower pitch. This has proved especially useful using tempered tuning such as those prevalent before the 17th century. So wow, it goes over diminished intervals, it goes over minor intervals, it goes over major, augmented. So an interval of a fourth, intervals of fifths, things of that nature. So we can go over that next week. We will kind of see really how to maybe work intervals into our shredding techniques too. That's kind of what more I'm focused on, is how does this help you guys just with your shredding abilities and kind of playing lead guitar. But intervals are cool, and people are using more interval playing now, I think, more than ever, especially if you're listening to the newer music like stuff like Chon or like Polyphia or like intervals or like um, modern day Babylon. But I think of just so many guitar players nowadays are playing animals as leaders, but a lot of people are playing intervals. Um, they're not just playing a straight scale, but they will actually pick, like we do in classical guitar a lot, playing intervals, uppers and lower pitches playing at the same time. So we can kind of work through that too, and how that maybe relates to some of our shredding techniques. So anyway, it's been a 35-minute fun session learning 2 and 3 octave scales, understanding that we're just moving in and out of the modes, and that we can make up our own patterns. I gave you guys some patterns for the major and the melodic minor, the 2 and the 3 octaves. But you can also make up, I made up my own using the Aeolian mode and starting there and then kind of moving into a 3 octave pattern. And again, if you can get these things memorized in your playing, which is the goal, then what you're doing is you're going, okay, I'm not just going to play a minor this way, like straight down, but you start moving it this way and this way, right? And that way you're in and out of these modal structures and you're seeing it with your head, and you're able to really develop your different phrasing of maybe your solos. So anyway, hopefully that helps you guys out. Carlos, we'll talk to you next week with some interval stuff. You guys take care, okay? And you're always playing intervals anyway, so take care.